this movie,
Which movie are we doing?
Something
Something
wild.
wild.
one that John didn't see.
The one that John didn't see.
Um,
Yeah.
It's funny because it seemed like his kind of movie.
well,
I was
so
surprised because, I'm surprised I never saw it because I saw a lot of movies in the 80s.
yeah. Oh, I definitely took Gloom Girl to this right when it came out because I was very excited because you guys, this was the movie that Demme made right after Stop Making Sense, right? So Stop Making Sense becomes like a minor hit. This is the studio going, oh, here you go, go make something. I think this was in between Stop Making Sense and Married to the Mob, right?
Married to the Mob came after this. It shares a lot of similarities, which I'll get to.
Yeah. Well, there were two movies I was thinking about watching this. One was just tonally how interestingly it sort of lines up with that movie I made you guys watch with Alec Baldwin called Miami Blues. There's a lot of the same Demme character actors that pop up in the background of that are also in this. But isn't it interesting this came out the same year as Blue Velvet? Because well, I mean, this is like Demme's femme fatale, super dangerous guy, and then is Jeff Daniels to Kyle MacLachlan, is Frank Booth to Ray Liotta. I don't know, like they definitely felt like that there was a thing.
It's a cute conceit.
Yeah, it's a similar conceit. But
Blue Velvet is much more tonally consistent than this movie.
This movie does, and I'll get to that second.
This movie porpoises like a plane that's about to crash.
So I'd seen both of these picks, but I hadn't seen them in a really long time. Both of them were better than I remembered. This one much more so than the other one.
Right.
This is it's so interesting because I'd watched the original Top Gun a couple of weeks ago to kind of prepare myself for Maverick, and
same year.
This kind of like little pop culture encapsulation of everything that was going on in 1986, but that's all the bad shit.
Right.
Whereas I look at this movie and like, oh no, there was some cool stuff that was going on in the 80s too. And I think there was what Demme does with this movie, particularly and I thought about this was made 85, 86. So hip hop was not the juggernaut that it was going to be in a year or two.
No.
But the way that he kind of like brings in, like when he's going into that little store and there's those 3 or 4 guys out front all wearing LL Cool J's hat.
Yeah.
They're all wearing red Kangles and freestyling.
Right. He did things to kind of like let the audience know there's shit brewing that maybe you don't know about, but I'm going to bring it in a little bit. Like the soundtrack is fucking great. He's got the Feelies.
Oh yeah.
As
in the
film backup band in that one scene. Like there's a lot of like from a pop culture standpoint, I haven't even got to like all the other stuff that works in this movie, but for the pop culture angle on this, I think has aged very, very well. And then just 3 star-making performances. And how would you have loved to have been on the fucking like in the room when Ray Liotta's agent saw this movie for the first time, like, and the shit-eating grin he must have gotten because what I remember about this.
You don't even need the movie. You need this
he's on screen,
moment.
Whoa.
Yes.
51 minutes into the movie, and the entire tone of the movie changes right here.
No, that gets a schizophrenic break.
He's like a lightning bolt on screen, and then at first you're like, "Who's this guy?" And then you find out, "Oh no, he's a scary guy," but he's scary in a very engaging way, and I know this was like the thing that really kicked off his career, and he deserved all of it because this still
he was like a coiled spring in this film. He was just, you couldn't take your eyes off him because you know what he was going to do. For one thing, it's like once you started seeing where he was coming from in terms of like the convict thing and the lack of kind of emotional borders thing, you realize this guy could go off at any time. That scene behind
the scene at this diner is pure gold.
Yeah, it was great.
And I think this is one of Melanie Griffith's performances, and Daniels is great in this. It's a weird, like it does. I remember it was the thing Bloom really hated about it at the time is you think it's a thing, and then all of a sudden it gets really, really dark, really, really quickly.
Yeah.
I will say one of the things I love about it.
The Liotta's death happens off screen. I thought it's still weird to me.
Yeah,
like he just sort of like. You get this shot, and then
okay, you're back.
What happened?
Oh, you're making a big point and you went silent. Could you repeat it?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was just saying the Liotta's death happened on screen. I think it's still kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like I felt a little robbed.
Uh,
A little bit.
it's funny
I don't
because
know why he made that choice. That's
They couldn't afford
this movie. I would have.
I think that
But,
his death scene where he gets stabbed, and I think that Jonathan Demme must have thought about the same thing you did. In fact, it was abrupt and kind of off screen and not quite satisfying, because he did almost a very similar one in Married to the Mob, where one of Tony the Tiger Russo's guys gets shot at the end, and he gets shot and he has that same expression that Ray Liotta did. He's like, "Hey, buddy,
Mhm.
you didn't have to do that," and he falls over dead. And
Right.
I think it would have been better, but I think he kind of finished the swing on the second film. And I think a lot of the ideas he came
It
up
really
with,
reminded me of Sid and Nancy.
a lot of the ideas he came up
Oh,
with.
yeah, right.
Yeah. Well, anyway, in terms of structure,
This
thing
is also a great, like,
This end thing I love.
really, because I thought it was too much. I thought this is like Jonathan Demme gets this woman to do this rap thing, and she obviously runs out of lyrics halfway through, and at the end it's kind of felt a little bit like torture. You know what I mean?
I liked it.
Yeah, I just got the camera
it,
rolling,
like
keep
it now.
going, to keep singing, and it's like yeah, I'd heard lyrics pass by 4 times before she had to stop. It seemed odd to me. I don't know. It struck me as weird. I liked it. It was a good, it was a good version of the song or whatever it was. But there it is. Anyway,
Mhm.
You
the
can
point
tell
is-
you can tell this is fairly early in somebody's directing career. You
Yes.
can tell this is a director who's
well,
I
Melvin
think
and
it
Howard,
is.
Howard was 1980, and there was a couple before that, right?
yeah, he did a few things.
Al Corman stuff.
But this is him kind of.
yeah, but I don't think he didn't have this kind of budget.
He
No,
never had
he
this
was
kind of
stretching
money.
out with this film. He's trying to develop a kind of a feel, and but anyway, this is the first part of the film.
And as I
struck me-
said last week, I think he's the lesser Demi brother too.
yeah, maybe. Anyway, I was
behind
watching the
Ted?
film. Okay, I'll describe it. This guy minding his own business. He skips out on a check because it's a kind of weird pathology he's got. Right, gets accosted by Melanie Griffith's character, and they go off on a wild adventure, and things get nuttier and crazier. And she's a kooky gal, and he's like kind of shedding his inhibitions and doing this kind of thing. And when they get to the hotel, it's to the point where she finally ready to accost him, and it all reminded me of. I'm going to show you what it reminded me of. It reminded me of this. It was just like a Czech publication. It was just like she's going to take her mask off and be the devil, basically. That's what I thought was going to happen.
No, it turns out the devil's her ex-husband.
Well, that's the thing, and that's a tonal change. And again, the thing is about that is that the first part of the film, you think this guy's being led in temptation by her, and it's kind of a fun temptation. It's within the parameters of what he can handle. You know what I mean? It's like I need a little bit of wildness in my life, kind of thing. And then
So there's an interesting thing about
You grab the tiger by the tail.
this.
Yeah.
Makes me think a lot about the TV show Dharma and Greg. And the thing that the TV show Dharma and Greg didn't have that this has is a reason why he goes on with her.
Well, that
good point.
Greg had no reason to be like, okay, I will go with you, other than male gaze or whatever.
Mhm.
This movie, as soon as you find out what's going on with Jeff Daniels' character, it's like, oh, he's fucked up too.
Yep.
He's running out on this check because he's trying to get his life back in a certain way. Like he's trying to take some control back because his fucking wife ran off with the dentist and took the kid.
Yeah.
And he's got to go to work every day and pretend that's not happening.
He's kind of mad at the universe, kind of.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's his little moment of like, I'm stealing back this part of me. But that's why he goes along with everything as it goes on through the movie, is because he's realized that he has nothing left. Like he has this job that probably makes him a fair amount of money, but he's a vice president at this financial firm. He can go get another job.
Right.
Like he's not, it's 1986 in New York. Like everyone has cocaine and everyone has jobs from vice
Yeah,
presidents.
he'd be
of
fine for
financial
another 12 or 13
institutions.
years before the big .com crash.
Right,
So
exactly.
he'll be doing fine.
Or, well, he might have had an SNL thing, but like,
Yeah.
Savings and loan stuff, it depends on how you were investing, but yeah. But like his whole thing in this movie of like the only money he has on him is this like money that he's got for his kid's fucking Christmas present.
Christmas club
And-
thing? Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And like he only has the company credit cards and he's walking out on the check and it's like, where are you, man? Like, and then you realize, oh, it's because you've been broken. Like society has broken you.
Right.
in a very specific way. And I don't know if she's supposed to have seen that or not, but she definitely saw the crack.
Yeah. Yeah. She saw that it was a little
And she
bit.
just wedged herself right into that crack. And that's what makes her character so fascinating.
Yeah.
Is it's like,
Yeah.
you
He
can
has,
get me.
Go ahead.
You can get me what I need too. It's
Right.
not just that I think you need a good time. It's you can help me with going to see my mom and then going to the reunion. She didn't know that Ray Liotta was going to be there, but maybe she thought he would.
Yeah. Well, yeah, she was kind of using him, you know, but also you're right. She lasered in the fact that this guy has a kind of a broken wing. It's like, well, yeah, we can definitely catch this chicken pretty easy. And so, yeah, it's like, it was kind of purpose driven. Yeah. She was going to do this to get the reunion, make her mom happy. And that purpose was revealed in a lot of ways. But after that happens, you know, when Ray Liotta shows up, like I said, it's like, it's interesting how he just takes the first part of the script and just tears it up because it almost doesn't matter anymore. You know, all it is reveals it. The thing is, that thing with the Ray Liotta's date, finding out that he doesn't have a not husband or whatever, you know, through the work acquaintance who happened to be there. Yeah, that was a bit. Well, that's your one unbelievable coincidence. That's like the one thing that I thought was a bit phony. You know,
that he would have been there.
Yeah, he would have been there, and he would have blabbed something like that. You know, it's like, I mean, people gossip, I suppose, but it seemed kind of weird. But
he seems like a shithead too. So.
Well, he's a shithead. Yeah. It also kind of propelled the second to third act really well. And in terms of, you remember, I think you mentioned earlier about Melanie Griffith. This is definitely one of her better roles. She did a really good job of this. But I think of Melanie Griffith as like, there's big bowls and there's medium-sized bowls and there's like ramekins. And she's a ramekin of an actor. You can fill it up all the way and it could be really full, but there's not much to it. You know, she poured it all out there. I never thought she had a lot of depth.
I don't disagree.
Okay.
A lot of what I love about this character is in this outfit. Like I remember at the time thinking like
the Pan-Africanism and all of that.
Well, yeah, well, that's the whole different
thing. She's a character a lot of ways in this movie who's made up of props.
Yeah.
She's a prop comic.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
But also Demme was like that back then. This was like, if you want to go to Jonathan Demme's phases, this is this phase between Stop Making Sense and this, where he's really tuned in this and Married to the Mob, and into kind of a New York, kind of a hip, kind of like new wave kind of thing that was going on back then. So he knew everybody. He filled the visuals full.
You got Kenneth Ut in there.
Yeah,
I mean, like it's just his guys he liked to put in the background of his movies.
There were a couple of times where I was like, yeah, John, I know you live in the village. Move on.
Right.
Like,
and that's the thing. That's the feeling you get. He lives in the village. He knows everybody. And he's making these hip little films full of fun visual signifiers. I think what happened with him, and this is just I can't think for what the guy.
And Silence of the Lambs has a little of that.
Now, the thing is, after he did Married to the Mob,
than you realized,
because Married to the Mob kind of ended on this weird ambiguous note, and then the thing is the same as this weird ambiguous note. And I think that he realized that he had painted himself into a corner artistically. It's like he can't do the rest of your life making these farces. This is basically a farce, and so is Married to the Mob. And he's like, I think he wanted something different, which is why he went all in on Silence of the Lambs.
Which I think I like way more than clearly Tad does.
Yeah, well, I think he totally changed gears and tried to say, well, I'm also a director of capable of very serious subject matters and very realistic ones, and he proved it really well.
I don't think this is a farce. Like I think it starts out as a farce.
Okay, the first half is a farce. The second half is a slasher film.
Right, and then immediately he's like, "I'm actually not making a farce," and swings it back. And I honestly think this is one of his best movies. Like I
agree.
Like
having watched it again, yes. The Talking Heads, Silence of the Lambs, and Rachel Getting Married.
Melanie Griffith is the reason that Ray Liotta's in this movie. They were in acting classes together, and she fucking went to Demme and was like, "You need to cast this guy," because they were looking at some other people, including I think Chris Isaac for this role, which would have been interesting, but different. But like Liotta, just every time he's on screen, you're just immediately drawn to him. Every single time.
Is like his visual presence is such that imagine being in that little stuffy room to have people do table reads or just even do their, auditioning, he would have blown them all away. I mean, it's like I think Demme saw what he had with his guys. Says, we got to put him in here because
well, especially Demme, especially Griffith and Daniels, who are both lightweights. Like
that's part of it too.
This is
it's
Butterbean.
okay for
This is
Daniels to be
Butterbean
lightweight.
coming into somebody who's on their second boxing day at the gym. Like, it's like, oh fuck, this guy knows what the fuck he's doing and is going to knock me out.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah, but Daniels next to him that's okay, right?
Right.
Daniels has to be the lightweight next to this guy.
Right. But he's not really outwitted either.
Well, it makes his character more likable.
Right. Daniel's character at least is smart. That's the one thing I will give it, is like the thing I had behind me earlier with him in all the shit from the gas station where he's like spying on them and figures all that out. And then the thing he does at the thing he does in the diner where he's like, I'll pay for the check. It's fine. And then goes and finds the waitress and he's like, he's got this, so that he's stuck there.
Yeah.
Like, that's smart shit. That's the shit you wouldn't see in a
brains
movie
over brawn,
today.
basically.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But at the end, do you think that helped them?
No, it made things worse for them.
It made things worse for him. And in fact, I think that his triumph at the end of the film was almost luck.
Yes, it was.
It was complete luck. That's kind of one of the reasons, like, it's, they're wrestling the knife, into him. It's like it could have happened to either one of those guys.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's kind of terrifying in some ways because brains won't solve a problem.
No, it was hubris that Daniels never considered that Liotta would follow him home.
Right.
Right.
Or figure out where
he'll
he
never
was.
come to the suburbs. Like, no.
Never underestimate crazy and mean.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and
I've also spent a lot of time in the part of Pennsylvania.
Also, he got the address. Didn't he get the address from the other guy, the schmuck from the company?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. And we spent some time in Pennsylvania, and
I've spent a lot of time in the part of Pennsylvania that this is set in, and I can absolutely see all of this happening. Like, this is this is very much the part of Pennsylvania that is just past the Poconos.
Other than Philly, huh?
Well, no, so you have Philly and then you have the Poconos, and the Poconos is just nothing but like cheap motels and like shitty ski resorts. And then once you get past that, it's just Alabama forever.
Yeah, pretty much.
And
away from the Amish, the north part is.
Yeah, it's, oh boy.
It's pretty country, but yeah, it is. It's weirdly redneck.
Oh, that motel that they were in, with like the people fighting outside and like running back and forth, and there's just a fire in front of one of the rooms.
Like, that was like,
I've been in that motel. Like, I've been in 2 or 3 versions.
I was expecting those guys from Scarecrow to show up in that scene.
Right. Like, no, there's somebody next door who's in a completely different movie about a bank robbery. Like, they're
pretty much.
Oh, it's Josh Brolin trying to put the briefcase full of money. He's trying to stash it in the heater grate.
Yes, exactly.
But it was
Jim.
I'll be quiet.
Yeah, what can I say? I really disliked like the first 30 minutes. I thought it was going to be me ranting about another bad movie, but at some point I started getting into it, and part of it was its 80s charm and the actors who are in it, but I really love the turn. For me, the turn with where her mom talks to Daniel, like, seriously, and you go, oh, she's not as oblivious as her character is made out to be.
That's true.
Everyone in this movie is at least a little bit smart.
Yeah.
Right. And that rang true to me, that it's like, yeah, I know my daughter, she's a little crazy.
Which means the director treated all the characters with a certain minimum amount of respect.
Right.
Bad directors will have complete idiot characters in their movies. And
even his buddy from work isn't like a douche.
No, he's not. He's
right. You think he's going to be a douche, right?
No, he's not.
And then it's like, no,
enough guy.
let me
I like
know
the fact he ends up
before you
worshiping.
do it.
I like that he ends up worshiping him. That's like, oh, dude, that's the coolest guy ever.
When they're in the cars next to each other, and he's like, oh yeah, like, come on, let's hang out, blah blah blah. And then the wife is sitting there, the wife who's just been this like mouse for the entire movie, who just obviously hates Melanie Griffith, and it's just like, don't go. Don't,
No,
no, don't do that.
Don't do that. Bad idea.
pregnant and apprehensive.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, this is in terms of Jonathan Demme, this is it's a good one. It's one of my favorites, but not my favorite. I think
What's your favorite?
Silence of the Lambs. It's just was heads and
Yeah,
shoulders a magnificent
That's
film.
probably my favorite. As
And this
well.
is just my bias, but Married to the Mob, I've seen like about 15 times. It's
I
actually
think
it's one of my personal hobby
Blake.
horses. I just love that film so
I
much.
think if they put anybody but Michelle Pfeiffer in that movie, I would have liked it better.
Yeah, well, okay. Well, either way, I thought it was just great.
Yeah.
And it
What
was
if it was
and the
Melanie
thing is,
Griffith?
it kind of nailed the tone here better. And I think it had better actors in it.
I think Pfeiffer's a better actor.
And yeah,
I
and
do
so and also the plot that the way it was plotted, it's actually shorter than this, and it's a lot more on point. It just goes. You watch that film, Married to the Mob. Now it's bam, 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 bam. You don't
I'll watch it. I need to watch it again.
Yeah,
I haven't
and
seen it in years.
this one had some places where it got kind of quiet near the middle. You know, where that
Yeah.
yeah, and so they got the hotel, and okay, we had sex, and now what? And it's like it spun a tiny little bit, not too much, but it spun
Well,
a little bit.
at least when they get to they had sex and now what? Then you have the phone call scenes because
True.
there's the 2 phone calls.
Mhm.
There's the phone call to work, and then there's him calling his wife,
Right.
where you
Right.
That was,
hear,
that was actually kind of fun.
you hear the dial tone
Mhm.
on the phone,
you
and
wanna
then
make a
hear,
call,
if you'd like
please
to make a
hang up."
call, and he
Yeah,
hangs up. Yep.
First tip up. But yeah, Leota is so flipping good in this.
Mhm. That's the thing. That's you can't get around that. And that's
I know that there's like that thing that I'm aware of now because I heard that the whole like actors don't blink when they know the camera's on them. The actors won't blink most of the
Wait,
time.
what's this? Is this a rule?
Oh, you'll never unsee this now.
Like the FedEx arrow, you're
You
fucked.
will never unsee this now.
Is this a FedEx arrow of acting?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I can't. I learned about this about 5 or 10 years ago, and now I never unsee it. Watch any major movie. Watch any movie, really.
Uh-huh.
When the actress got the camera on them, unless it's a scene where they're supposed to be nervous or something, they will
Unless
not blink.
blinking is part of the characterization at that moment. Yes.
Leota does not blink this entire fucking movie.
Now, mind you, it was a specific thing about in Silence of the Lambs with the Hannibal Lecter. He was told not to blink, and his character never ever blinked.
But
Blunk.
I think what
Blinked.
actors figure out is that if you blink, it kind of like the audience will notice it and they'll drop their attention for that moment. And you got to get them back.
That's so strange. Is it a training
Now
thing, or you think it's a
I've
nervous
watched
thing?
it and like, oh no, that's
it's a
clearly a
training
thing.
Mhm.
It's a training thing. The actor will not fucking blink if the camera's
You
on
don't
them.
blink. Well, so if you're on
Or
stage,
especially if they're delivering a line.
if you're
Oh,
on
okay.
stage, you don't blink until your line's over. You look directly at the other person until
Yeah.
your line's over, and then you blink.
Wow.
And you blinking tells your acting partner it's your time to go now.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
it's not just like
it's like the version of Drive My Car where you put your hand on the table.
right.
You know, it's like, oh, next line.
Yeah, no. I've opened up a whole new world for you now. Scott.
You have. My mind's fairly blown by this knowledge. I'm gonna start looking for it now.
You know who's
You don't
the
have to look
king-
very hard.
You know who's the king of it, by the way, is Tom Cruise.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
He
Tom
doesn't
Cruise is-
blink because he's not human.
Right.
Well,
he's a
yeah,
robot.
Scientology,
He's
you
he's a robot who loves running.
Yeah.
level 6 practicing Thetans don't blink anyway because they hold the camera.
Yeah, they don't
Well, they've
have
met
that.
Xenu personally.
Good pick, Tad.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Good
I-
pick.
Yeah, it was fun to watch. It was
Definitely.
thumbs up, dude.
This was better than I remember it.
Yeah.
Leota
I think it's aged
week.
very well.
Leota week was exactly what I wanted it to be.